Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers on the broadcast today. It's an all Pundits show with Bryan, Wachter, Warren Hardy, and Russell Rowe for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers tapings in Las Vegas are brought to you by the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce.
Nearly 200,000 Nevadans work in retail businesses, supporting families and the community. Nevada's retail businesses generated over $2 billion in sales tax revenue in 1 year, including nearly $700 million to help our schools. Shop around and see all that Nevada's retailers offer our state.
We're the Retail Association of Nevada, representing thousands of Nevada businesses.
Businesses that work for Nevada.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday. Trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have an all-pundit show today, and we have a great cast. Bryan Wachter is here, Senior Vice President for the Retail Association of Nevada, former State Senator Warren Hardy, Principal with the Hardy Group, and Russell Rowe with the Rowe Law Group. Pleasure to have you all here. Bryan, biggest surprise from the election night?
Well, I think the depth of the amount of Democratic turnout. I think also in terms of how Washoe County changed from previous years. A reliably red county. We'd seen it becoming more and more liberal, or at least less conservative, and we finally saw that this election day officially. I think Washoe should be counted as blue, and I think that's the overall takeaway is Nevada's, I think, a reliably blue state, at least for presidential elections.
Really, and you don't think this was somewhat of an anomaly just because of President Trump and the boost in turnout there?
I don't. I think as long as both parties are going to continue the turnout drive, and I don't see any reason that won't continue through certainly the next cycle or beyond, as long as turnout remains as high as that is, there are just more Democrats. So it's just a math problem. Republicans are less. Here in Clark County, you're almost a third political party. So there are just not enough Republicans to counter a very high, heavy Democratic turnout.
Okay, so Barbara Sagaski still won a statewide election, but is that it for Republicans for a while, or what do Republicans have to do?
Well, Republicans have work to do. I mean, I agree with Bryan. The biggest surprise to me, and it shouldn't have been in retrospect, was what happened in Washoe County. I do think there was a Trump effect there. I do think there was clearly that electorate's getting a little more moderate to left-leaning. But I think there was clearly, especially by Republican women, a message being sent to President Trump that, yeah, tone does matter, and whether we like your policies or not, you got to be presidential. But I do think it's trending that way. Unless Republicans do something dramatic, Washoe County has changed. It's now blue, and the result of that is, I remember Senator Atkinson tweeted out to his supporters, "We vote, we win," and that's exactly accurate going forward. Unless Republicans dramatically change the voter registration advantage. In heavy elections, Democrats are going to win big in this state going forward.
Well, doesn't this, Russell, mean a wholesale changing of the Republican Party to where we actually have a real state Republican Party versus what appears to be a state Republican Party, but then, a shadow Republican Party that goes along with it?
Well, I don't disagree. Nevada's definitely bluer than we were before the election night, but I'm not so sure it's time to write off the Republican Party in Nevada. I mean, remember in 2008, after the election of President Obama, there was all the talk about how are Republicans going to win nationwide, and then look what happened post-Obama. I think Nevadans still have a streak, regardless of party, for the majority of Nevadans of independence. That libertarianism, I think, runs through both Democrats and Republicans. And I think, for the most part, besides the Trump effect, which I think Warren is absolutely correct on, I think Nevadans tend to be issue voters and respond to what is going on at the present time.
Sam, you can never write a party off, but it would be contingent upon the Republicans to do something, because the model here in Nevada has always been Clark County goes fairly heavily Democrat, rurals go heavily Republican, and Washoe County makes the difference. Washoe County's always leaned Republican. Washoe County doesn't lean Republican anymore. So that's a dynamic that has to change. So yes, a party can fix things. I don't think the Republican Party, as it's currently constituted in Nevada, can fix it.
Is there a misunderstanding, Bryan, that not everybody from California is a Democrat that's coming to Nevada? That there were a lot of Republicans who were disaffected with the way that things have been occurring as far as state government, taxation, et cetera, regulation, that have been coming to Nevada in the last few years. Does that not make a difference?
Well, I think especially if you look in the last election and you take a look at the eastern California counties that border up against Washoe County in Nevada. Washoe County had a 10-point swing to the left. The eastern California counties had a 10-point swing to the right. They actually became more conservative. So I don't think that we would find that you'd have a lot of Republicans leaving California. I think you have a lot of people leaving California for fiscal reasons. Maybe the cost of living is just too high, and they're not fleeing some social agenda that they don't appreciate. They're fleeing the high cost of regulations, and so they come into Nevada where we don't have that high cost of living. We don't have those high costs of income taxes or anything else, but you're not transposing those social agendas that you agreed with. It's just more of a fiscal thing, and I think that would be what we'd find more than we'd find people fleeing a socialist California.
Well, and I think I tend to agree with Bryan. I mean, I haven't seen any demographic numbers on this, but it stands to reason that there are people selling their homes, retiring in California, moving to Las Vegas, paying cash for homes, living here. And when you're in that Northern California area, it's a little bit more of a liberal-leaning crowd. And then folks coming to work on Tesla and the other technological projects, those folks tend to be a little more left-leaning. So I think that's what we're seeing. I think we're seeing moderates to liberals moving into Washoe County.
I just saw Russell's ears prick up, and I thought I'd allow him to join in on that particular portion there. Has Tesla done a survey of their employees as to see whether they're more liberal or conservative?
To my knowledge,
I'm joking,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah, to my knowledge, they haven't. I think it's fair to say that the younger millennial population that is attracted to Tesla's mission and tech companies in general that are moving into northern Nevada is going to have a demographic shift. Again, I'm not convinced it's going to be necessarily, meaning Nevada is going to be blue regardless of outcome with respect to those demographic shifts. But I think it needs to be acknowledged, certainly.
I think the risk, if I could, Sam, for the Republican Party is you do have these new voters, new Nevadans coming in, and yes, they're taking in, their history and what they're doing, but there are millennials, there are younger crowds, and with the absence of a Republican Party here that's on message, or at least has clear defined issues, like Russell was saying earlier, is really a lost opportunity, because you have an entire generation now of workers, millennials coming in, that the only party that seems to be able to have, identifiable issues tends to be the Democrats, and especially in Nevada. Do you even know what the Nevada Republican Party stands for? And I think until you answer that question, you can't hope to start bridging that gap between those different demographics, and until you do that.
But you know what? There are some that would say the same thing about the Democratic Party, which is, is at least on a federal level, is what does the National Democratic Party stand for?
Well, certainly. But when you take a look at, I think, the Trump effect that Senator Hardy was talking about, is it's not enough to have just the Republican Party. There are so many different groups within the Republican Party that like their own particular policy, and it's hard to get past that noise. But take tariffs, for example. Tariffs are starting to become, such a huge wedge issue, I think, between traditional conservatives, especially agriculture, small businesses. Retail especially is having a hard time dealing with tariffs, especially coming into Christmas. And so you have people that may be traditionally fiscally responsible or fiscally, conservative, who don't agree with what nationally the Republican Party are doing on tariffs. And so without, I think, being able to identify those particular issues and platforms, that's just a lost opportunity.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back more with our pundits after this.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia.
How do you shed some light on a better economy? Start with growth inspired by Valley Electric Association. We're a member-owned power company that puts Nevada first, and we're doing big things, like providing prosperity by securing renewable energy projects. For Nevada, that means more jobs and more opportunities, all for a strong statewide economy. In other words, together, we're doing powerful things. Visit us at vea.coop to learn more.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with our great pundits. Bryan Wachter is here, Warren Hardy, and Russell Rowe. Russell, Speaker Frierson was here on our previous show, and the way he was talking, he wants to be a statesman. He's not looking at a Southern Nevada and Northern Nevada. He wants to look at the whole state. What do you think about his supermajority?
I think it's important that he takes a statesman's approach to that. His caucus obviously is, I think it's fair to say, is a little more left-leaning than perhaps the speaker is, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think it is important for Nevada, particularly with the large Democratic majorities and, of course, a Democratic governor-elect, that the leadership take more of a statesman approach to legislation.
Do you think there's a danger? We've seen this on a national level with Senator Reid and the 60 senators he had in his caucus, but he was still having trouble getting the Obamacare passed because people were negotiating within the caucus. Do you think there's a danger of having the governor and both houses run by the same party?
Well, without a doubt, right? I mean, I'm personally a fan of having divided houses and forcing compromise. That's typically when the best legislation, the best policies come out. So we're going to need to rely on legislative leadership to ensure policies and those issues around them are elevated above the politics to the extent that's possible. Obviously, I don't want to sound naive, but that's what statesmanship is about. And frankly, leadership in both houses on the Democratic side will make the governor-elect's job much easier.
State Senator Kelvin Atkinson recently said, we can't go too far to the left here.
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing, but that was what he said.
I've had a lot of good conversations with both the speaker, who is, by the way, a statesman. I mean, that's the good news. He doesn't have to act like one because he is one. He's going to have a challenge with some of the young folks in his caucus, but he's got a lot of smart people in that caucus. I've met with most of them, and they come in with an agenda, obviously, but they're going to pair that with the political reality. Majority Leader Atkinson and I have had some really good conversations, and he's really, now that he's a business owner, small business owner, a restaurant and lounge, really has seen the real life impact of this, and he understands the importance of being governing from the center. He understands now firsthand what some of the things that have been proposed in the past would do to small business, and I have a lot of confidence in his leadership now that he has that experience of being very moderate on issues related to business.
And that was the same thing that Speaker Frierson said, Bryan, was that they want to take a look at what ways that they can help and encourage small business.
I agree. I think leadership is indicated, and they have in the past, especially in their actions with Assemblywoman Carlton, Speaker Frierson, Senator Atkinson, of working together. And these are a group of legislators that typically, whether it was a party balance or supermajority or not, we're striving to get great policy and good policy. And so I don't see any reason that would not continue. Now, if we get into a 2015 scenario where things do kind of come off the wheels, hopefully, and I believe Senator Atkinson and Speaker Frierson would be able to kind of pull us back on track and get the policy that we need in a budget and let us go home by June. So I don't see any reason to expect anything different.
You are already concerned about vacation plans for June.
I mean, I think it's important to note as well that Governor-elect Sisolak has never exactly been a far left liberal when it comes to business issues. And so I think he's probably spending it. I haven't talked to him about it personally, but I think he's probably spending a little time talking about expectations and what they should plan to set on his desk for signature and what they shouldn't. He's been good for business. He understands business, and I think that's at his core. And so I think all those things working together. I think we've got work to do to educate legislators, but I don't look for it to be the end of the world for business at all.
Okay, so Russell, the question then becomes, whither the Republicans?
What are they?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess that depends in part on what their agenda is. I mean,
Does it matter what their agenda?
I think it does.
I mean, look,
if we're going to talk about leadership and statesmanship, then that means you reach across the aisle and work together and collaboratively, recognizing that even though the party is in the minority does not control the agenda, they still represent a large part of the population, and they shouldn't be ignored. I think it would be a mistake for Democrats to simply ignore the minority. So I wouldn't expect Speaker Frierson and Majority Leader Atkinson to do that. And I certainly wouldn't expect Governor-elect Sisolak to do that.
And you know what, if I may just close out the segment real quick, we saw what happened when Senator Reid put out the nuclear option and how that backfired when the Republicans took office. So we'll come back to Nevada right after this with our pundits. Great show.
Nevada Newsmakers tapings in Las Vegas are brought to you by the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. And a lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Las Vegas Metro Chamber in Symphony Park in Las Vegas. We have an all Pundits show going here with Russell Rowe of the Rowe Law Group, Warren Hardy, former state senator and principal with the Hardy Group, and Bryan Wachter, senior vice president of the Retail Association in Nevada. So Russell, you helped to put together the Tesla deal. Do you see going forward an appetite to do more deals like that if companies come in with enough job projections or future income for the state?
I think that's a tepid yes. I think the incoming administration is not antagonistic to economic development, but I think my speculation on that is that they recognize there are also impacts to growth, and certainly Reno is experiencing that firsthand. And with the new administration as well as the new legislature, I think there would be new questions raised and issues brought up in any type of deal of that magnitude, but I don't think they're off the table.
So pivoting off what Russell just said, Warren, do you think that there are going to be changes in the way taxation is allotted because of the growth that's happening because of Story County, but not in Story County? They're seeing commercial and industrial growth, but the housing, roads, the other impacts. Skip Daly tried to put a bill through last session. It got blown out of the water. Do you think that that's going to rear its ugly head again?
You know, I don't think so. I mean, the reality of it is I think Russell's 100% right. You get and it doesn't have anything to do with party or politics. You get one party in control of all the levers of power. Industry is going to take a breath and see, let's see what happens. Let's see what kind of certainty there is. Because of that, I think Governor Sisolak and the legislature are smart enough not to rock the boat. I'd be surprised if there are any significant changes both to taxation this session, and that creates some difficult issues because if you've got an agenda that requires taxation, you got to think about that. But I can't imagine that's something they're taking up this session. I don't think there'll be any changes to the economic development. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And clearly under Governor Sandoval, that was really a historic success of his administration, is how well he got us on the track for economic development. So I'd be surprised if there's any effort to really make many adjustments in that area.
And the governor has already come out against importing water from northeast Nevada down to southern Nevada. So do you have concerns there when you have Ivanpah now, maybe it's a 30-year horizon, but certainly on the horizon, another 1 million people coming into the Las Vegas Valley?
I think that represents an excellent point, Sam, which is I think we need to take a step back, maybe from these new, bigger projects and say, where are we at, structurally, internally, logistically. I mean, we attempted to get the Amazon headquarters. We applied to that. I don't think anyone really had huge expectations that we were in the running, but we applied, and they sent back a nice letter, I think, and told us kind of what those issues are. Transportation infrastructure is a huge one. I think certainly water resources would play a large role in any sort of commercial manufacturing kind of facility. So we need to really kind of step back. Where are we at, and where do we want to go, and do we have the capacity to do that? There could be a lot of opportunities of investment back in our own state before we start investing in some of these other companies to come here and provide that faster paced growth that we just can't catch up to.
So what does this say to folks at Apex, for example, who looked like they were finally catching up to the idea of infrastructure begats business?
Well, that's the other side of the coin. As I was listening to Bryan speak, and recall how disappointed everyone was with Faraday falling through and thinking that Southern Nevada was going to have a large project, and certainly the stadium's a large project, but it's not in comparison to a project that is going to have a significant number of jobs with a high average wage. So I think we just need to take a breath on this. I don't think it's going to be something that's off the table, but as Warren indicated, the legislature is going to have to evaluate these on a case-by-case basis as they come in, and then just be smart about how we approach them.
Do you think that the majority of the growth then in Southern Nevada is going to be based on the convention center expansion and all the hotels that will be opening and the jobs created by both construction and then, filling those roles at the completed properties?
Well, I mean, that's always been the driver in Nevada. But I don't think we can underestimate the impact that stadium's going to have on our economy. That place is going to be the center of the universe. And if you look at what happens when NFL teams come in terms of economic development and other things, I don't think we can downplay that at all. And the reality of it is the business demand is going to be here. People want to locate here. We're still one of the most tax-friendly states in the country. When you really look at our water portfolio, we're not in bad shape. Pat Mulroy, John Ensminger have done a good job of positioning us in water. It's a long-term concern, clearly, but it's sort of counterintuitive when you live in the desert. But we're in pretty good shape, to be honest with you. So I think everything's fine. I do think that people are going to want to see what's going to happen with the legislature, if they are going to reverse some of the things that have been done by the Sandoval administration. But I think we're all going to come out of next session pretty surprised about what doesn't happen more than we are about what does happen.
And Speaker Frierson said on the program that when I asked him about all the vetoes from Governor Sandoval and would they be reversed, he said, "I'm looking forward, not backwards." I thought that was a significant statement.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Also, and we only have about 15 seconds left, Russell, so it's down to you. But the growth that's already in the pipeline, certainly in Northern Nevada, is enough to sustain for the next 20 to 30 years.
Well, you would think so, right? And Northern Nevada needs to respond to that in terms of housing and other infrastructure needs, and perhaps there may be some legislation this session that focuses on that.
All right, and that's where we've got to leave it. Gentlemen, great show. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Bryan Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Bryan's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Bryan today. Bryan Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at bryanculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion, for romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in Northern Nevada, and we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also download podcasts of the show free of charge or watch us on YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast.